teatrista, daughter, wife, and mom of 3 amazing adults. Let's give it up for Victoria.
Hey, how are y'all doing tonight? Thank you for coming out. This is an important event because Hociconas rule. La lucha heredada. She gave birth to me early. Her back and thighs bloody from the whipping you gave her. Doctors and nurses gave her dirty looks and the blame. Y soon again con mi hermanito. You threw them down at 7 months, a flight of stairs. That night, they learned to fly, somehow survived. You're a man, come back to haunt me now that I'm a woman. I fell in love with him, his poetry, drawings, his turning me into the Azteca Chilolan, life-sustaining corn goddess. I drove west side to south side every time, every day for his beauty. I know that at my age, this is an old poem, guys. But my mama fell for your charm, married too, and tried to please. Y pensé, después de tantos años de ser tecato, fuiste al fin el muerte. Why did you come back for me? Me agüitaste tanto. I ignored mama's warning, realized I would sing la canción de la misma lucha. You think you're a man. You once held me as a baby by the neck outside a window 7 stories high, threatening my mother with my life. AIDS claimed your frame, yet somehow your spirit escaped. Now it's his hands gripping my neck in a manic depressive rage, something about demons possessing his body. Maybe you. Both times I'm innocent, not knowing why I can only cry. He thinks he's a man. He grabs me by the arm and throws me pregnant on the bed. I realize there's 6 more months to protect before his rage kills my baby. By now, I don't care about me. I only keep thinking about what my mom went through. Then through, I too. I have some new work, but all my new work is like love poems to my husband, Taj. And that's what we're here for tonight. We're here for a cause. We're speaking up for a cause, and I've been speaking up for causes since I started writing. And one of them is about domestic violence. So this is also, it's called Resurrection. The fear I speak of, the sound of your voice when you called me whore, your hands as they yanked my hair and shook me during your episodes, going anywhere without you and facing the consequences, my clothes thrown out in trash bags, out in the driveway, going back to work and dealing with your jealousy, your accusations, having to call you the second I was leaving work so you can time me getting home. I feared you. The lie has died. The wolf I used to see has become a harmless dog. I, mother, daughter, father, am woman, milk and blood, and soul whole again. My voice confident you hear. You fear me. You died, see, I am again me. For Janessa, Rhodes Middle School young lady that got, it's called He Slammed Her. He slammed her face against the ground, slammed hard so everyone could hear his power, his authority. Question authority, question authority, question authority, we chant in unison because he slammed her 12-year-old little body down against the brick path. Now her path, already murky, can turn dirty. How can this child trust authority ever again? How can we trust him either? At least some justice has been served, surprisingly. he's been fired. The peace officer who was supposed to protect our children chose his rage. To our outrage, he slammed her face against the ground. Thank you. I like to keep it short and sweet because we have a lot of really talented mujeres tonight. So I'm gonna get off. But thank you guys so much. And give it up for all the rest of them. Give it up for Amalia.
Let's hear it one more time for Victoria, dude. That was so beautiful. Thank you. Oh my gosh. Alrighty, we're gonna move right along to Mandy Lynn Garcia. Abril Andy Garcia Lynn is a proud Chicana feminist from the west side of San Anto. She is a poet, performer, teacher, student, and mother. Her poems have been published in several anthologies, including Puro Chicanx Writers of the 21st Century. She is currently teaching ESL for NISD Adult Education and Literature, and she is a full-time student at SAC, working toward her degree in Mexican American Studies. Let's give it up for Abril.
Thank you. Okay. Prayer as resistance. I hand you the crimson ribbon still connected to my beating heart. Its silken thread melts into your open palm. We close our eyes, breathe deep, and begin. A prayer of healing. We call upon our lost angels to journey with us to the other side of this pain, our shared pain, not only physical in nature, but spiritual. Our trauma spans generations. It sailed across the ocean, made root in us. It ravaged our wombs, conquered our bodies. Its poison seeped into our minds. We must resist with prayer. Ask our ancestors to lead us into the lavender flames. We shall stretch out our arms as we welcome the many mangled pieces of our souls back into the home of our mother womb, back to the forgotten warmth where love greets us, where we are made whole. La carga de la mujer. Her scalp tender from worry, hands braced from fatigue, breath shallow as muddy riverbed, tense shudder and heavy shoulders. Obligaciones de la mujer pesan. The weight of stress clings to muscle, stretching skin. Entre lágrimas y sonrisas, she contemplates her condition as mother, her dignity as daughter, her place as sister, her worth as wife, her quality as friend, her position as teacher, her status as woman. Aquí in San Antonio, the place where soil meets river, colonizer meets indigenous, north meets south. Here in the city that worships and exploits her, she rejects the status quo, stands firm as a century-old pecan tree, llena de nueces, holds you up as you waver, nurtures and feeds you con una fuerte abrazo. She carries you with all the strength of her antepasados, for she too is fed by another, a mirror reflecting the love, hope, and resilience of her comadres, her familia, her sananto. Thank you. For Maria, La Luna Llena filled with hope and the fierce love you leave behind. Love for your familia, your comunidad. Love for this earth and all its complexities. La Luna Llena carries you forth, bathing us in memories of panza bursting laughter, of warm-hearted abrazos, gritos de celebración, sweaty nights on the dance floor, solemn talks deep into the dawn. Your poems of perseverance against the pain of your ailing body heal us. We can hear the calm song in your voice when we close our eyes, cantando palabras de verdad, of prayer. We are soothed by the medicine in your words, nourished by the wisdom in your heart. We bask in the glow of your eternal light. Mama Luna still shines in your absence. She offers the twilight of tears as we release you into the cosmos, where you continue to dance with the stars. Una cumbia eterna. My bad. La Llorona. La Llorona weeps for her children, her beautiful black and brown children, the ones who are murdered in their bed while sleeping, who are shot as they jog down the street in broad daylight, who are killed while playing with a toy in the park, who die from heavy knees on their necks, who are murdered while seeking refuge on our soil, who are killed while driving a car, who are dying in cages, who are shot at school where they are supposed to be safe. La Llorona wails for her children. ¿Dónde están mis niños? She searches rivers, oceans, and creeks, houses, buildings, and streets. She cries, where have they gone? Where have they been taken? ¿Por qué mis niños? Why? Tired of pleading for help, La Llorona is enraged. Her fury is boiling over, spilling out into the street, scorching the structures of power with her vengeance, toppling all that stand in her way. Screaming now, she claws at the eyes of the guilty. We are La Llorona, the collective mothers, heartbroken, grief-stricken, relentless, enraged. We will not be silenced. We will not allow our children to be mutilated in the streets by criminals posing as authority. We will no longer cry and plead. We will fight and die for the justice of our children. Thank you.
Alrighty, y'all. Okay. Up next, we have Jen Yanez Alanis. Jen is a Chicana mestiza activist, educator, and poet. She is a PhD fellow in culture, literacy, and language in the Department of Bilingual Bicultural Studies at the University of Texas, San Antonio. Ah, cool. Her research interests include translanguaging poetics as third space. As co-founder of Welcome, a poetry declaration, she brings awareness through equity-driven cultural conversations centered on language justice, the preservation of language, and language literacy. She is currently at work on an extensive critical biography of Carmen Tafoya, and her forthcoming chapter book, Surrogate Eater, is due out late spring 2023 by A La Brava Press. Let's give it up for Jen!
Okay. Each of us brings to the table our own experiences of hunger and what we eat or don't eat for survival. We often inherit the burden of hunger and denial of nourishment from deeply rooted spaces, paradoxically from spaces denying us our roots. These poems are from my forthcoming chapbook, Surrogate Eater, which speaks to being in recovery from hunger. It speaks to the seeds we hold on our tongues and every beautiful flower born from our mouth. 1. Hociconas are sensual, patron saint of moist things. I must be a mermaid, I have no fear of depth and great fear of shallow living. Anais Nin. When I pray for love and moist things, I think of our youth and Anais Nin, her wet verses underneath our tongues, her sex and unguent between our bodies. In my memory, you untie the blue ribbon from around my thigh. Your mouth releases the knot. My openness gives way to taste of fig and tamarind, a glistened cadence on the tongue. I don't know you without the fragrance of chocolate daisies, misted petals below the warm sun. I long for rain's iridescence, arced above our bodies. Be witness to my breasts, swollen with the sea of budding mermaids. Two, Hociconas are royalty and the cosmos. Your body as Yol Iknal, for my daughter Maribe, for all of our daughters, for Taylor. A tub filled warm with fragrance keeps your history. Your submergence royalty, a Mayan queen. She upholds 10,000 births, her palms an ascension. In your wet fingers, she reigns in your energy. The wash cleanses but does not displace. Naked in her skin, you are unending, born from star. Hociconas devour everything. Chaos in the mouth. Delay your birth from soft folds of petals, then grow greedily. Be everything dread and beauty. Be consumed by death, by angelic bloom, by all and by nothing. Clench chaos between your teeth. Be rabid and ravenous. Eat fruit, the ripe and forbidden, the vine aged and unraveled. Be death below the leaves. Be insect devouring. Be seeds in the mouth consumed. Be fig and be pomegranates. Hociconas are daughters, mothers, and grandmothers in a state of healing, binding. An abundance of blood, crimson pulse against breastfed newborn softness. Love, reparation, and instinctual lavish of motherhood. The binding ritual of mothers and mothers' mothers. Abuelita takes the cloth and winds it tightly around my hips with stern insistence of strength. She whispers ritual de la cuarentena, as rigid knuckles against my skin a promise. Mother takes up the slack and pulls the binding taut, winding upward toward my ribs. Cinched rigid, the uterus pressed and held, muscle against muscle, ligaments and organs, marrow and bone, binding tightly what must be bound. Last poem. This is for my daughter and for her bestie Taylor. All Hociconas are sisters. Pandemic smoke. Listening to Space Song by Beach House. Heart-coiled muscle, fist below my sternum, knotted ache holds me captive within the hours. My breathing slows. She's 21 and feeling first love breakup. Tells me she doesn't want fixing. She wants to know it. So we get high and listen to Space Song. We talk boys among the dusty mist of pandemic smoke. She tells me about an app where loneliness brings together the poets and musicians. From Australia, someone serenades her sadness. In Spain, another sketches a poem from the shape of her eyes. A distant love ascends from below deep-carved sarcophagus, a worldliness of royalty and worship from centuries ago, to kiss her. My daughter and I touch fingers, releasing ourselves to the cosmos. She cries from a time within her skin when we were sisters. Thank you. Thank you.
Alrighty, y'all. Up next, we have Aida Felicitas Rodriguez Barrera. Wow! Is also known as Cuppycake. They are an Afro-Latinx gender-fluid writer and spoken word poet born in Texas but raised in Chicago. Their work has appeared in Write Art Out's The Mixtape Literary Journal Volumes 2 and 3. They plan to continue to break cultural stereotypes, homophobic teachings, and expose toxic generational upbringings with their writings. More of their pieces can be seen on Cuppycake Writings and Poetry on Facebook. Let's go, Aida!
My first piece is called Hociconas. She said, I'd never get married, and I said, good. She said, because no man would want a malcriada, majadera, hocicona, and that only watered my stubborn roots more. Because I realized I was different. I wasn't made to flourish like malas hierbas like my madre did, from doubt, abuse, chingazos, and hurt. Instead, I was to flourish like a nopal against anything and anyone. My roots only stood still, screaming with its no actions that it wanted different. It dreamt of hope, love, effort, clear words, intentions, hugs, and cariños like little girls should. I'm from a different generation that wasn't meant to live off daddy's alcohol-infused love or migajas from men without backbones. Chingonas, fed off magical words like eso, dale shine, no ha nacido el cabrón, si se puede mi reina, y que te valga madre, porque no nos rajamos, porque pendejas no somos, because no longer do we eat whatever we are fed. I nourish my soul with only the best, and if you can't come to my standards, it's okay, because I can feed myself, and if you want, pull up a plate, and I'll teach you a thing or two, because gone are the days we wait for handfuls, crumbs, and whatever you think is right or suitable, because we shouldn't go from lover to lover looking for what we are missing, because I also belong everywhere else besides a kitchen, because I'm more than deserving of what's fair, and if I'm labeled a backtalker, then so be it, because daddy didn't raise no bitch, and this mouth and lungs were meant for you to hear my boundaries from miles away. My generational curse of thinking marriage and a man are the only goals breaks now. I wanted more. I wanted the same dreams and hopes my parents had for my brothers. So I woke up and I got a divorce from the man who imaged what dad wanted. I went to school and I am still on my way to shame my parents like they always wish I wouldn't, because my daughter is watching, and at the end there's no excuse on why my happiness should be in anyone else's hands but mine, because my daughter knows now that she can ask anyone why and how and say no, because around here I raised my son the same way I raised my daughter, feeding them love through words, explaining I am grateful for them, allowing them to feel, express who they are, and then learning toxicity so my upbringing won't poison them, because no longer is it enough for them to just have it better than me. And we don't follow because I said so. Around here you get respect because you earn respect. And if our high bruja vibrational wives say fuck no, it's a no-go. No more family child abusers, because I might not be on time to rescue my mother from hearing my grandmother say men will be men while her stepdad touched her, and I can't go back and rescue my inner child. So, but I can make sure my baby girl No, she's got more than her body for this world. And this world better run, because she will be a whole other hybrid of the woman this world tries to mute and abuse. No more hurt from hurt people. No more settling. Because if no man wants a malcriada, majadera, and hocicona, I can sleep with that. I'm a whole thriving woman to settle for a simple man to tell me what to do and grow his tiny ego. I am not my mother's or grandmother's. I'm a chingona hocicona, raising a chingona hocicona as it should be. Thank you. Who I identify as desmadrosa, hocicona, chingona, majadera, gordita, reina, ni santa, ni puta, descarada, malcriada, assertive bitch. If one day my daughters or sons' kids ask who Titi was, I like her to read it like this: a desmadrosa, or one that never gave a shit about consequences, a vale madre, a hocicona, or someone who never shut the fuck up. There's a lot to say when the world wants women as mutes, and she believed the phrase, te ves calladita bonita, pero chingona gritando. True. A chingona, because our history held too many quiets for women hiding behind stoves, and now is the time more than ever to be fearless. A majadera. I love to use the fact that I'm Mexican, Puerto Rican, but why do I need an excuse to cuss? Because it looks bad in a lady? Well, thank God I was gender fluid. A gordita, a big girl. God loved the world so much, he made gorditas like me to keep others warm. Because the love we have is too much, so we needed a bigger body. Ni santa, ni puta, because her sex life was her choice, and she didn't care about anyone's judgment. A reina, a self-proclaimed queen, never needing approval from anyone but her own self-opinion. A descarada, or someone with no shame. Shame for what? The shame we bring our families on them, not on us. A malcriada, because telling her what to do was telling her what not to do at the end. And finally, an assertive bitch. No one else shows up for us like we do for ourselves. La abuela said all her life que no era indígena. She was not indigenous, and I was confused because her nopal kept peeking out through her skin, and sometimes I see it more green and prickly than ever, and the florecita would wave a petal or two. Also, growing up, I always wanted to wear turquoise, hot pinks, and reds, but my mother's family would say to avoid them because then I'd look very chuntara, or Mexican, or tacky. 2018, the movie Roma came out. My father is an alcoholic, and his words, well, he calls them tough love. Every time he'd fight with my second mother, he'd call her Yalitza, for Yalitza Paricio, because my second mother is a beautiful shade of brown clay, the one that reminds us of Mexican roots. My family calls my younger sister my carbon copy because she's mini-me but dark. My father is black and Puerto Rican, so we're all of different shades. But everyone says it with love, or their terms of endearment, or as Dad says, it was a way to prepare us for the insult from the white man. But if so, then why would my 16-year-old sister ask me why my dark skin got lighter as I grew up, and then ask when it would be her turn to become beautiful? Explain these terms of endearment and why I'm now a grown woman, and when I wear hot pink lipstick, I reapply again and again, thinking this doesn't suit me, and my tia's reference to me looking like a piñata comes to mind. They say we have this racist part within our country, and this country treats us like second-hand citizens. But maybe it's time for us to start from our core. Maybe it's time for us to look within, admit we are the toxic ones, go do the shadow work, because either side of my family, whether black, Puerto Rican, Mexican, wasn't better than the other. And we can't sit here thinking this colorism shit doesn't exist. Because I shouldn't tell my sister she needs to wait to be lighter and beautiful, because she already is. That despite her skin color, that looking black or Mexican or indigenous isn't bad, that we are worth more than our skin, that this skin of ours shouldn't be our ticket to happiness within this country, and definitely not within our families, that this pink lipstick is more than okay, and I look nice as fuck. And if it brings out the hot pink flowers on my nopal, at least it matches with my bright soul. That being the skin tone of the colonizer isn't something we should be proud of. And I finally stood up, and I told my father to shut the fuck up, that there is nothing wrong with Yalitza, and he can't keep saying we are beautiful like our mother when he's sober, and then act weak and stand there with the outside world judging my mom for her beautiful brown skin. And at the end, Abuela is indigenous, super indígena, con pies anchos, white feet, and a sturdy nose to smell when the rain was coming from miles away. Her roots are as indigenous as the nopal that finally stopped hiding and grows against her wishes, because I've been a rebel, a malcriada, a terca, and I've been watering mine above my head with as many tunas and florecitas she tried to run away from. Aquí somos de todos colores. We come in all shades, not one better than the other. Our colonizers speak out of insecurities, and gone are the days we fucking agree with them.
I hope you got a chip. I really hope you got some vegan ceviche and birria. You better go get it. If not, you still got some time. We're gonna move right along though with Jules Vaquera. Jules Vaquera is a military veteran, and she doesn't want you to thank her for her service. She is a national organizer with Veterans for Peace and About Face, Veterans Against the War, and locally she rolls with Mujeres Macharan. She's been writing anti-war music for nearly a decade, and her time working with Amale Ortiz at SAC, as well as her time working in her local women's coalition, have opened her mind to writing about even more social issues. Let's give it up for Jules Vaquera!
Hello there, I'm Jules. So I wrote this first song when Dobbs versus Jackson first came down, and we were all realizing that the Supreme Court was bullshit, Fourth Court, by the way. So this is called Disobey.
Yeah, hey, yeah, hey, yeah, yeah, hey, yeah, hey, yeah, it ain't right. Interpreting a constitution that was written to protect you only if you're rich, male, and white. I can't have an abortion, but I can pour pollution, and the EPA can't do shit. We're rolling things back to a stupider time, and I've had it fucking up a bit. You can't just wish it away. The time has come to disobey. Fighting on freedom, exhaling profits, and all of that bullshit just keeps us from growth. Come on. Grow with me one more time. The slow drip of progress through this fucking system has been and is costing lives. They tell us to be patient, these things take time, while our friends and family die.
We say we need health care and wages to live on. They say help is on the way. They make big promises and tell us to vote and wonder why we're losing faith. We can't just vote it away. The time has come to disobey. Fighting on freedom, extending profits, and all of that bullshit. It just keeps us from growth. Come on. Hey, hey, yeah, yeah. Say it for me one more time. Yeah, yeah. We can't wish it away. We gotta disobey. Yeah. We can't wish it away. The time has come to disobey. Yeah. We gotta disobey, disobey, disobey. Yeah. We gotta disobey. We gotta disobey. We gotta disobey. We gotta disobey. We've got to. We gotta disobey. The time has come to disobey. Woo, thank you. This next song is an evolution of a protest chant, so I want you to do it with me. I'll say my body, you say my choice. My body. My choice. My body. My choice. Her body. Her choice. Her body. Her choice. Their body. Their choice. My body. My choice. All right, this is called My Choice. Like any other. I never want to be a mother. No, I wasn't desperate and I wouldn't have died. Would it be easier for you if I cried? Get the fuck out of here with that noise. I'm not gonna qualify my choice. My body, come on now. My choice. I know you can. I know my voice. Let them hear your voice. My body, my choice. I know you can hear my voice. Shit is twisted, it's fucked up, it's perverse, cause it ain't pro-life, dude, it's forced birth. And I really need my bodily autonomy, I can't afford to lose it, not in this economy. Dad's permission, she takes his name, the system exists so that men can claim her money, her children, her body, her life. Women always pay the price. My body, come on now, my choice, I know, my voice, let them hear your voice. Hey, 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 we're gonna go around one more time. We're forced to live under capitalism, which turns out is an expanding system. What they need is for me to breed babies to feed to their to she. I'm not an incubator and I'm not a fucking womb. I am the sun, the stars, the earth, the moon. And you don't want to tangle with these women. Fuck around and find out. The clock is ticking. My choice. I know you can. I know you can hear my body. My choice. I know you can hear my voice. Keep it going now. My body. Come on now. My choice. I know you can hear my voice. Let them hear your voice. My choice. I know you can hear my voice. There we go. All right, this last song is started by the idea that in dark times, radical joy is a revolutionary act. Because if you're out there in the streets, if you're an organizer, like a union organizer with the SACY, you know that this shit can be fucking brutal, right? So we gotta use joy to sustain ourselves. So I hope you'll join me in a little radical joy too. Oh, 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 joy will lift us up. 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 Joy will lift us up. Hard times won't break us down. We stand too tall. We're in the fire now, and we won't back down. No, 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 no. Joy will lift us up. Oh, joy will lift us up. Let's lift you up now. Joy will lift us up. Oh, joy will lift us up. Oh, there's just no time to waste. Say thank you every day. Carry as many as you can. Let love bear the way, yeah. Oh, 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 will lift us up. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Joy will lift us up. Let joy lift you up. Joy will lift us up. Yeah, yeah. Joy will lift us up. Oh, breathe in small victories. Hold on to that sound. You know I'll meet you in the street. Your girl is always down, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Joy will lift us up. Let it lift you up now. Joy will lift us up. Let joy lift you up. Joy will lift us up. Oh, yeah. Joy will lift us up. Oh, joy will lift us up. Let it lift you up now. Joy will lift us up. Let it lift you up. Joy will lift us up. Yeah. Joy will lift us up. Thank y'all so much. Thank you, Mandy Also, March 5th, International Women's Day, we're having a rally and a march. You should come, have flyers. Thanks.
Oh, careful.
Alrighty, y'all, we're gonna move right along. This next group, sorry, oh my god, wait. This next group performing, I want to really highlight this whole organized event would not be happening without the founder and developer of this next group.
Thank you, Sarah, for that introduction earlier. I thought we were good to go. We were missing like a bass guitar. We're like, where is it? It was here earlier, but we found it. All right. Thank you all for coming. I am Amalia Ortiz. I'm going to be doing a lot of talking, but that's why we had the poets earlier, and then we introduced some poet musicians and some other weird teatro in there. So that hopefully by now the audience is conditioned to sometimes they realize this isn't just your ordinary punk show. Sometimes you got to shut the fuck up and listen to some poetry. All right. I'm Amalia Ortiz, and with me tonight is the band Las Hijas de la Madre. I have a whole bunch of people that I have to thank. I'm just going to go down like every performer who's been on the mic. Victoria Fennell, Mandy Lynn Garcia, Jen Yanez Alanis, Cuppycake, Adida Felicitas Rodriguez Bernal, I'm sorry, I need my glasses. Lili Tijerina, Sarah Tijerina, their teatro. Giovanni Lugo, aka Duba Lynn. Jules, who brought down the house with that set. And let's see, my band I will introduce in a second. And also, love to all the vendors. If you hadn't had a chance, check out all of their wares. And, you know, we have to support individual artists and people who are, you know, they're not mass marketing. So definitely check out, help, you know, the art scene on the local level. There's also probably still some vegetarian ceviche back there, so shout out to Reb Mariposa who did that catering, and then earlier we had some birria tacos from Barrio Birria. We're trying to keep everything birria Barrio, trying to keep everything super local. Also thanks to Dylan Gloria, who's our photographer for the event. Joaquin, who helped organize, and the DJs, DJ Karina, DJ Apathetic, and DJ Cami. And please stick around after we perform for Sacred Games, who's going to close out the evening. So some of you might recognize the band members from the Canción Cabaret. The Canción Cannibal Cabaret. What you're about to see tonight are works in progress that are not the Canción Cannibal Cabaret, but something else called Punkera Diatribes, or I'm leaning towards Punkera Diatribas, which began as a poetry research project. So thank you, City of San Antonio, for the individual artist grant, which helped fund this project and this evening. I began with a reading list of mainly autobiographies. Some of the books are out here. Please don't steal my books, man, because they cost money. But autobiographies of women in punk and other punk influenced books, and took those as inspiration or a starting place to write creative responses. In the beginning, I really could only guess what form those responses would take. But what will ultimately be my next manuscript will be essays, poems, and poem songs, which is a term that was coined by Leticia Linares Hernandez, which describes poems that maybe begin on the page, but in performance are performed with accompaniment in our songs, poem songs. So tonight I'm focusing on sharing the poems and poem songs. I consider the essays, but I feel like it's too much talky, but this whole set is going to start out with some talking, so yeah, get used to it. Another way that this project differs from the Canción Cannibal Cabaret is that the CCC, when I first even started to find a band, it was 98% written already. And so when I started working with the band, there were 3 original pieces. Most of it was parodies. With the original pieces, I already had melodies, and so I was a bit of a dictator when it came to style, sound, melodies, and the original work. With this project, I have poems that are written, or that were half written, and I approached the band with partial melodies, ideas, and styles on genres, but I've been deferring to them more, and sometimes just saying, do something, let's see what happens. And so this performance is much, much more of a collaboration than before. So before we begin, I want to acknowledge and thank these incredible individuals on this stage, beginning with our guitarist, Letty RZ. Bassist, vocalist, Lili Tijerina. Drummer, Lorenzo Beas. Vocalist and hype person extraordinaire, Jacqueline Salome. And my husband, musical director, guitarist, bassist, and always my first reader, Dr. Kip Austin Hinton. In high school and in college, I always saw writing and researching as a chore. I never in my wildest dreams thought that it could be fun or that you could write or research about absolutely anything. In my first job at the Guadalupe Cultural Arts Center in the late 90s, I had the pleasure to hear Dr. Loco of Dr. Loco and his Rockin' Jalapeno Band, aka Jose Cuellar, PhD, and he gave a lecture on the use of saxophone in cumbia music, and it blew my mind. He played clips and explained, see here, the saxophone plays the harmony to the lead vocalist, and later here in this song, it evolves to take the place of the lead melody. And he traced that history from big band influences to South Texas conjunto experimentation. If we could live 100 lives, I would have lived another life as an ethnomusicologist. And I would have lived yet another life as a music journalist, and maybe yet another life as a pianist and or composer. But race, class, sex, and a number of other factors and decisions sent me to where I am here today, playing at some of those things in my own ways. Another inspiration I have to acknowledge is Tammy Melody Gomez from Fort Worth. She was the original Texas Chicana punk poet who I saw touring with her band who would play underneath her poetry sometime in the late 90s. She was a woman of color, doing what I had only seen Patti Smith, Jim Carroll, Maggie Eckstep, and others do. But seeing her, gave me permission to try it, and I'm forever in her debt. So I'm gonna start out with a poem. This was written for an event at the Mission Marquee, Front Woman, written in honor of Nina Diaz. And it starts with the epigraph, rock and roll be a black woman, from the Chicago, this was a quote from the Chicago poet Tara Betts. Number 1, Seed. Don't let the boys club fool you. Her story was redacted from his story of rock, rearranged and amplified through so much distortion and orchestrated into the counterfeit image of a white boy. Don't let the boys club fool you. A black woman gave birth to rock and roll. Sister Rosetta Thorpe nursed it from her electrified bosom, and Big Mama Thornton bounced that baby on her generous hip. But in those times, there was only so far you can rise as a woman of color. Man's greed for fame, money, and acclaim eclipsed all women who dared to play that rock and roll game. So the guys abducted that child and raised it, emulating the macho pose of 50s street gangs. The howl of POC blues landed in the hands of the most privileged, leaving its creators reeling and wondering, hey Johnny, what are you rebelling against? And a 50s white boy answered as only a 50s white boy could, well, what do you got? And the color girl sang, relegated to the background, segregated like race music or sides of tracks. And the rest, as they say, is his story. The manufactured angst, a rebel without a cause, reverberated through the pressed vinyl hiss, the radio static straight through to the rock and roll halls of fame. Don't let the boys club fool you into believing those halls are a place for only men to misbehave and enact every juvenile, hotel trashing, groupie loving, overdosing fantasy, chasing the dream of becoming a rock god, boy, king. Boy, please! It was a queen who gave birth to rock and roll. 2, growth. Growing up near the border of Tex and Mex, Raza searched for themselves in rock. Richie Valens and Freddie Fender filled the male void. Cannibal and the Headhunters, Question Mark and the Mysterians. How many Chicano rock icons can you name? Santana, Los Lobos, Malo El Chicano, Alejandro Escobedo, Dave Navarro, Zach De La Rocha. Shoot, we could sit here all day. In Sanaco in the late 70s to 80s, metal was king, leaving little brown girls dreaming of a Chicana rock and roll model of their own. See, we loved Susie Cuatro but longed to find a Susie Cinco. We loved Blondie but needed to see ourselves reflected in Morena. We loved Chrissy Hines but still searched for a Chrissy Hyena. Smoking in the girls' room somewhere in a South Texas cantina, waking up bien cruda to Big Red and barbacoa. Country boasted 3 chords and the truth, but punk spoon-fed, here's a chord, this is another, this is a 3rd chord, then punk dared, now form a band. And Alice Bagg answered the call. In that LA first wave, Nowadays, machos scoff at the image of an all-girl gang, thinking that's a dude's only thing, because how many Chicana rock icons can you name? Joan Baez, Linda Ronstadt, Hope Sandoval, Girl in a Coma, Fea, Nina Diaz. 3 in Bloom. San Anto is a rock city. We want it. Nina gives it to us. How many Chicana rock icons can you name? How many name us back? How many claim our place, our people, our history and culture matter? How many are living, growing representations of Gloria Anzaldua's untamable wild tongue? Because representation matters. So it means something in the sausage fest of rock history, of Chicano history, of history itself. It means something when women stand on the front lines. Chingonas in the pit, women to the front, boys to the back. Front woman, note by note, smashing the patriarchy, feet planted wide in rock stance, center stage, Nina in Bloom at the crossroads, not to strike a deal with the devil, but because she lives there between racism and sexism, at the intersection of cultures, straddling Mexico's Spanish, indigenous, and African miscegenation, straddling rockabilly's white and black miscegenation, straddling Tex-Mex, white and brown miscegenation, straddling punk anarchy and Tejano tradition. Standing at the crossroads, border blurring, respecting roots yet striving for growth, past and future all at once, both familiar and brand new, redefining music of the new millennia. Standing at the crossroads, a Jekyll and Hyde, good cop, bad cop, tug of war ballet of come here closer, now back the hell up. Nina in Bloom, vulnerable yet ferocious, frenetic vibrato, voice that cuts like an axe, voice that soothes like sweet salve. Nina in Bloom, eyes wide and knowing, always determined, defining her own sound, because that's what one does when you step into your own light. Create like nothing before, only imitators after. Chingonas in the pit, women to the front, boys to the back, front woman. Can someone give me a drink? All right, let's just go into the first thing. So I read a bunch of memoirs, and the first 3 I read where I was like, God damn it. It was Patti Smith, Carrie Brownstein, Kim Gordon, who I love the heck out of various parts of their work. But one of the things that got me was I was reading about these women who came up from these white suburban middle class backgrounds, and I was confused because I grew up so freaking dirt poor. I know why punk like called to me, because everything, absolutely everything was a battle, and it felt like everything in the world wanted to kill me. You wanna kill me, strangle me slowly, hold me down and cage me, deny my dignity. You wanna kill me, brainwash my family, bind us in slavery, steal our called Ponqueta, probably diatribas and not diatribe. The diatribe is a bitter, angry rant. Punk diatriba number 5. I am walking dead, working class, working poor, living without a living wage. For the wages of sin is death. For the wages of slaves are their own dying flesh. The jefe says, time to make the donuts. Time to walk the dead like dogs. Beat the dead workhorse, of course, of course. Are you beat down like me? A slave to the wage? The working dead, working, but never getting ahead? Sustainable rage versus sustainable wage? Inequitable labor or marginalized lives? In the shadows of the profit margins, the waking poor, walking the sleeping giant. It tossed and turned and woke up hungry. The American worker is sleepwalking. They say it's dangerous to wake a sleepwalker, but that's a lie. So lie down and sheep. Now work up and go to wake. Tightrope walker balancing workloads and multiple jabs, multiple jobs, burning the candle at both ends, walking tension wires, tension wages, tension headaches, set tension fires like candles for thousands laid off, set dumpster fires for the thousands fired. Working myself to death, a dead man working. Hunger in America, hunger is America. Working class American, working ass American, I am that burra. Walking circles on the picket line, a fine tightrope line. We unionize, otherwise we lay down and sheep. Now work up and go to wake. Work it. Now sissy that walk out. We walk a fine picket line, scabs don't care, our wounds won't scab, we bleed out our lifeblood. I owe my soul to the company soul, debt digging deeper, hoping I dig myself out before I dig my own grave. All right, so this next piece, JC2 unions. I wrote this piece actually before I knew that my workplace was going to unionize. When we filed for voluntary recognition, silly me, I thought a social justice nonprofit was just going to voluntarily recognize us, but yeah, I was wrong. And so I wrote this before that, and the lyrics were a little different, but it was super easy to edit, so when we're ready. Preserving, dark skin with an accent, not on our main stage. Angry brown girl stereotype to dismiss righteous rage. I work for a nonprofit that claims social justice, but overworking, underpaid workers always fucks us. How we treat each other speaks more than our main goal. Community shouldn't cost my mental health and soul. It ain't lonely, it ain't lonely. You say we get together, then you leave me getting lonely. It ain't lonely, it ain't lonely. You say we never something, but you're really a big lonely. It ain't lonely, it ain't lonely. You say we get together, then you leave me getting lonely. It ain't lonely, it ain't lonely. You say we get together, but you're really a big lonely. Emotional labor, and in crisis left me short. But check their social media, and boy, they sure look work. Self-serving, lip service, shirt sandwich, eat it all in Joe. It ain't lonely, it ain't lonely. You say we get together, then you leave me standing lonely. It ain't lonely, it ain't lonely. You say we get together, then you leave me standing lonely. It ain't lonely, it ain't lonely. You say we get together, then you leave me standing lonely. It ain't lonely, it ain't lonely. You say we get Next piece, Porquera Diatriba, number 45, for Kim Gordon. So she was inspired by the 70s NYC no wave scene, so I had to like research that. And, yeah. Yeah, you said it would take 0 seconds. All right. Okay, this next song wasn't even a song 2 days ago. I'll give you guys time. So, 2 months after I was informed that I won the individual artist grant from the city, my best friend died. And I wrote the grant at the time, probably 4 months before that, thinking, wouldn't it be a fun project to do, let's research punk. But then I didn't really feel like having fun for about 6 to 8 months after she passed. So this entire project, the future manuscript, will be dedicated to her when it's published, for Maria Alejandra Ibarra. Let me check in. You guys good? Okay, so this song is Song for Maria. Yep.